Donald Trump had always seen himself as a master of grandiosity. From golden escalators to towering buildings with his name on them, he believed that spectacle was power. So, when the idea was floated to host an extravagant birthday parade for his 78th birthday, he didn't just approve it, he expanded it. What began as a private celebration quickly snowballed into a carefully marketed show of strength. In his mind, this wasn't just a birthday. It was a reaffirmation of loyalty from his base, a message to the world that he remained a cultural and political force despite his growing list of legal troubles and decreasing poll numbers. The plan was bold. Dozens of parade floats, military vehicles rented, not endorsed by the Pentagon, tribute performances, and even an elaborate fireworks display were part of the proposal. It was scheduled to take place in West Palm Beach, near Mar-a-Lago, in a carefully managed area with limited access to the press. Social media influencers were invited, MAGA loyalists were offered VIP passes, and former campaign aides were instructed to mobilize local supporters. But the cracks began to show just days before the event. First, several big-name conservative figures Trump had hoped to include pulled out, citing scheduling conflicts. Some privately told reporters they feared being associated with something that might turn into a vanity circus. Local authorities grew frustrated by the last-minute changes and unrealistic crowd size projections. Then, the private security firm hired to coordinate logistics started threatening to pull out after Trump's team delayed payments. Still, Trump pushed forward, convinced the sheer idea of his birthday parade would bring out crowds. On the day of the event. The results were underwhelming. Bleachers were sparsely filled. Several floats arrived, damaged or late. The military vehicles were a couple of vintage Jeeps and one antique Humvee that broke down en route. The sound system failed midway through the first performance, and a giant birthday cake prop deflated before it could be rolled in front of the crowd. Reporters on the scene captured awkward moments of attendees checking their phones, appearing confused or bored. Trump stood waiting for a cue that never came. The fireworks were quietly canceled due to permit issues. What made it worse was his own expectation. He had told close associates this would be his Trump Tower moment of 2025, a symbolic reset of his image. Instead, it became a viral embarrassment. Photos of the empty seats and half-finished displays spread rapidly online. Even right-wing media figures who typically praised him remained quiet, as if unwilling to touch the unfolding disaster. This public failure peeled back something more revealing. A major disconnect between Trump's self-image and the public's. Growing fatigue, he had assumed that by virtue of his name alone, the parade would be a triumph. But it wasn't the early days of his political rise anymore. The crowds no longer appeared on command, and his calls to action didn't generate the same frenzy. His team had overestimated his draw and underestimated how much people had moved on. The low turnout wasn't just a logistical blunder. It was a referendum on his fading star power. Even those in his inner circle noticed the shift. One aide anonymously admitted that Trump's insistence on complete control over the event was part of the problem. He reportedly ignored advice to scale it down and refused to accept that not everyone wanted to be part of another spectacle. The failure of the birthday parade didn't just sting his ego, it shattered an illusion he'd maintained for years, that he was still the magnetic center of American political culture. This event, minor in scale but massive in symbolism, laid bare an uncomfortable truth for Trump. The base he once energized, with rallies and theatrics, might still support him in principle, but the enthusiasm had dulled. His vision of power, fueled by gold flags and applause, clashed with a reality where fewer people showed up and even fewer cared. The birthday parade was supposed to be a celebration, but instead, it became a quietly devastating portrait of a man out of step with the moment. Jasmine Crockett's presence on the political stage has always been marked by sharp wit, bold commentary, and an unwillingness to be intimidated, especially by figures like Donald Trump, when she appeared on a cable news panel the day after Trump's birthday parade fiasco. She had clearly done her homework. As panelists discussed the underwhelming turnout and logistical disasters of the event, Crockett leaned forward with a grin that said she was about to make headlines. She didn't disappoint. With a calm, amused tone, she quipped, I've seen better parades at middle schools, and those at least had music that worked." The panel burst into laughter. She continued, "The man threw himself a birthday bash and forgot to invite reality. I mean, what was that supposed to be? A declaration of relevance?" Her words struck a nerve not just with viewers but with Trump himself. What she had done, in a matter of seconds, was crystallize a public embarrassment into a punchline. The phrase "middle school parade" exploded across social media. Crockett's remark wasn't just funny, it was devastatingly effective. Trump has long thrived on spectacle, branding, and the illusion of control. But here was a Democrat, a black woman unapologetically speaking her mind, flipping the entire narrative with a few sentences. By mocking the parade, she was mocking the persona Trump tried to maintain, the powerful showman, the beloved leader. Her critique cut through the bluster and exposed the hollowness behind the event. The internet did the rest. Clips of Crockett's comments went viral on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Influencers remixed her quote into songs. TikTok challenges emerged with users parodying sad birthday parties with empty chairs. And late-night shows picked up the joke and ran with it. One particularly brutal meme showed a photo of Trump standing alone at the podium, juxtaposed with a school cafeteria birthday scene captioned, "At least Jimmy got a cupcake." As the public laughed, Trump seethed. He took to Truth Social to unleash a tirade, calling Crockett a lie-Q disgrace, accusing her of being jealous and labeling her a tool of the radical parade-hating left. But his rage only amplified her voice. Crockett, unbothered, responded by posting a short video of herself watching his posts in real time while wearing a party hat and eating popcorn. Her caption read, "Oh, so now he's mad. Happy birthday, Donnie." The irony was thick. Trump, once master of the media cycle, had become its punchline, and Crockett was now steering the conversation. She didn't need a stage, a rally, or even a script. All she needed was Trump's own failed spectacle, and she turned it into a moment of national commentary. Political analysts noted how her response showcased not just her comedic timing, but her understanding of modern political communication. In the age of viral media, a one-liner can do more damage than 1,000 ads, especially when aimed at someone as image-conscious as Trump. More importantly, Crockett's moment resonated because it came from authenticity. She wasn't trying to manufacture outrage or perform political theater. She saw a ridiculous event, called it what it was, and the public agreed. Her voice felt fresh, unfiltered, and unafraid, a stark contrast to the choreographed spectacle Trump attempted to orchestrate. This incident also revealed something about Trump's shifting political landscape. In the past, he might have dismissed critics like Crockett with a tweet, drowning them out with noise and bravado. But this time, his reaction seemed defensive, even panicked. The fact that a birthday parade, an event that should have been harmless, turned into a PR disaster, and that Crockett's mocking remark became the story, showed just how much his grip on public perception had weakened. Crockett didn't just mock Trump's failed parade. She exposed the fragility of his image. Her commentary highlighted a growing trend in American politics, where younger, sharper voices are unafraid to speak directly, humorously, and unapologetically. Trump, once the disruptor, now found himself disrupted, and Jasmine Crockett, with just a smirk and a microphone, reminded everyone that the power to define the moment no longer belonged to him. Donald Trump has never been known for taking criticism lightly, especially when it comes from outspoken political adversaries. But something about Jasmine Crockett's mocking takedown of his failed birthday parade ignited a level of fury in him that revealed far more than just irritation. Her commentary, delivered with humor and biting precision, wasn't just a jab at the spectacle. It was a direct challenge to his ego, one that he couldn't ignore. The deeper layer of his reaction revealed a troubling dynamic. Trump continues to be uniquely threatened by confident, outspoken black women who challenge him in the public arena. In the days following Crockett's viral remark, Trump didn't simply respond with his usual bluster. He went into overdrive. On Truth Social, his posts escalated into a series of insults, branding her with familiar terms like nasty, incompetent, and race baiter, language he's used many times before when dealing with strong women of color in politics. He accused her of disrespecting American traditions, hating patriotism, and being jealous of greatness, as if the mockery of his birthday parade had somehow amounted to treason. Asterisk observers saw the pattern immediately. This wasn't the first time Trump had lashed out with disproportionate anger. He had done the same with figures like Maxine Waters, Ayanna Pressley, and of course, the former First Lady, Michelle Obama. But Crockett's moment hit particularly hard because it wasn't just political, it was personal. She had taken what was supposed to be a celebration of him and turned it into a running joke. And worse, she had done it with ease. Asterisk, what seemed to enrage him more than the joke itself was how Crockett's tone invited others to laugh, not at a policy or a scandal. It undercut the very image he tries so desperately to maintain. A man who commands respect, admiration, and attention. By reducing his birthday celebration to something as trivial as a middle school parade, she had chipped away at the myth. He spent years crafting asterisk, the meltdown didn't go unnoticed. Even among conservative circles, some quietly acknowledged that Trump's response looked like insecurity. He wasn't defending policy or principle, he was reacting emotionally to a personal embarrassment. Meanwhile, Crockett's replies only amplified his discomfort. She didn't engage in a policy debate or offer a retraction. Instead, she leaned into the humor, continuing to mock his tantrum online with memes, GIFs, and birthday-themed jokes that her followers enthusiastically shared. Asterisk, this exchange highlighted something broader. Trump's image management relies heavily on controlling the narrative, and when someone like Crockett seizes that control, especially in such a culturally resonant and unapologetic way, it throws him off balance. His branding depends on dominance, but Crockett flipped that script with laughter, turning his parade into a punchline and his anger into the joke itself. Asterisk. Her response also resonated because it challenged the long-standing power dynamic Trump has relied on silencing critics with volume, aggression, and name-calling. But Crockett didn't retreat. She didn't appear rattled. In fact, she looked amused. For Trump, that's worse than being opposed. It's being dismissed. The moment a political opponent can laugh at him, publicly and with no consequence, his ability to intimidate weakens. Asterisk supporters of Crockett applauded the moment not just for the humor, but for what it represented. A refusal to cower in the face of Trump's typical tactics. It marked a shift in tone from traditional political discourse to a more cultural, internet-savvy form of resistance. Trump's method of overpowering opposition with loud declarations and personal attacks didn't work on her, because she wasn't playing the same game. She wasn't there to outshout him, she was there to outlaugh him, and she did. Asterisk Trump's meltdown, ironically, validated Crockett's criticism. It showed that her words had struck a nerve, that underneath the bravado, his ego remains, as fragile as ever, and for those watching, it was a moment of clarity. Trump, who built his persona on control, image, and dominance, could still be unraveled by someone who dared to laugh at the emperor's birthday parade. Donald Trump once mastered the art of political spectacle. His rallies were not just events, they were performances, loud, chaotic, packed with red hats and roaring chants. In 2016, that strategy electrified crowds and redefined campaign culture. But the failure of his 78th birthday parade and the embarrassing aftermath that followed marked a turning point. It wasn't just about a badly organized event. It exposed something more significant, a growing disconnect between Trump's attempts at public showmanship and a population that appears to be gradually losing interest in his theatrics. Asterisk, the parade was pitched as a celebration, but it was intended to project power. It was meant to showcase his enduring influence in conservative circles, especially as he gears up for yet another presidential run. Yet, the reality looked nothing like the vision. Bleachers were left half empty. Musical acts either canceled or performed to lukewarm applause, and the overall atmosphere felt forced. There was a sense that people weren't there to be inspired. They were there out of obligation, or curiosity at best. Gone was the fever-pitched energy that once defined a Trump event. Asterisk, the letdown wasn't just logistical, it was symbolic. For a man who measures success by the size of a crowd, the images of vacant rows and awkward silences were more than a personal insult. They were a sign that the old magic might be gone. Trump had counted on his brand being enough to pull people in. He assumed that nostalgia and loyalty would overcome apathy. But the sparse attendance told another story. The audience may be tuning out. Social media reactions confirmed this. Instead of right-wing media celebrating a patriotic display, most commentary focused on Jasmine Crockett's viral joke, memes mocking the empty seats, and the irony of Trump going all-in on an event that nobody seemed eager to attend. For someone who dominated the news cycle for years with his unpredictability and oversized persona, being ignored or laughed at might be the most damning outcome of all. Insiders close to Trump reportedly expressed quiet concerns about how out of step he seemed. One source admitted the entire event felt like it was stuck in a time loop, trying to recapture the spectacle of 2016 with none of the momentum. The crowd was older, the slogans felt stale, and the imagery, complete with makeshift tanks and oversized banners, had the feel of parody rather than political strength. What was once provocative now looked cartoonish. Trump, as always, refused to acknowledge the reality. He blamed staff, the media, even Crockett, for sabotaging the mood and spreading false narratives. But no amount of online rage could change the fact that the photos told their own story. The same man who once bragged about drawing the biggest crowds since Elvis had now presided over a birthday celebration that more closely resembled a local fundraiser gone wrong. This moment also underscored how disconnected Trump has become from the current cultural and political climate. While the country faces serious issues, economic uncertainty, social unrest, legal debates over rights and freedoms, Trump chose to stage a self-congratulatory parade. To many, it came off as tone-deaf, even desperate. Instead of looking like a leader with a plan, he looked like a man clinging to a bygone image of himself. Meanwhile, figures like Jasmine Crockett are increasingly shaping the narrative with clarity and relevance. She didn't just mock a failed event, she tapped into the broader feeling that Trump's style of politics is stuck in the past. The viral nature of her remarks wasn't just about comedy, it was about resonance. She voiced what many were thinking, that the pageantry, the ego, and the endless attempts at self-glorification are wearing thin. Trump's inability to adapt is becoming more apparent. While his loyal base remains, even they seem less enthused. The birthday parade flop symbolized more than just a bad party. It revealed how much of his influence depends on illusion. And when the illusion falls apart, what's left is a man whose greatest strength, controlling attention, is slowly slipping away. The fallout from Donald Trump's failed birthday parade and Jasmine Crockett's viral response wasn't just another media cycle. It was a defining moment that encapsulated the changing tide of American political culture. For years, Trump thrived on commanding attention, whether through grandiose rallies, unfiltered social media posts, or spectacles designed to inflate his image. But when that spectacle turned into a punchline, and Crockett's light jab turned into a cultural echo, it revealed how far he's fallen from the pedestal he once demanded. Trump has always relied on control. Control of the narrative, control of the crowd, control of perception. But the images from that lackluster birthday event, the empty seats, the uninspired energy, the failed attempts at grandeur sent a clear signal the old tricks don't work like they used to. And when Crockett, with her blend of honesty, humor, and unapologetic clarity, pierced that illusion, it wasn't just a dig, it was a reality check. A moment that showed how tone-deaf and out-touched Trump's tactics have become Crockett's ability to take a crumbling spectacle and turn it into a national laugh. Wasn't just about being clever, was about being in sync with the cultural moment. Trump's methods, once seen as disruptive and powerful, now come off as dated and desperate. In contrast, Crockett's authenticity and ease struck a chord with a generation that values realness over rehearsed bravado. Her mockery didn't need a press team or a stage it, needed only the truth, framed in a way that people instantly understood and shared. What stings most for Trump isn't just that someone made fun of him, it's that she did it so casually, and that millions agreed with her. He built his political identity on being untouchable, unpredictable, and above ridicule. But now, when faced with legitimate critique wrapped in humor, he reacts with the same tired rage and insults that once worked but now fall flat. His inability to laugh at himself, to accept even the slightest challenge with grace, reveals the fragility behind the bluster. The contrast between the two figures, Trump clinging to an image of dominance and Crockett freely speaking truth, to power underscores the generational and cultural shift unfolding in American politics. More and more, the public is gravitating toward leaders who can read the moment, speak with relevance, and wield influence, not through fear, but through connection. In the end, Trump's parade wasn't just a failed celebration, it was a symbol of a leader stuck in a loop, performing for a crowd that's moving on. And Jasmine Crockett, with a few sharp words and a well-placed laugh, made sure no one missed the message. The emperor threw himself a party, but the people brought popcorn. And they weren't clapping, they were watching the show, and they were laughing.